Welcome to the instructions for the Cloda Crochet Cowl. We're going to start to show you how to complete a whole motif, the basic motif, starting from the foundation chain ring all the way through to round 5. So we're going to start, each motif is started by doing a foundation ring. So we do a slip stitch first, which you wrap the yarn around your finger and then put that onto the hook like so. We're now going to do the foundation ring by working 9 chains. Don't worry about how Gwyneth is holding her yarn, because everyone finds their own way and there's no right or wrong way to hold your yarn. So she's now going to do 9 chain, like so. Once she's done that, we'll show you how you actually complete the ring. So Gwyneth has done her 9 chain and she's now going to close the ring by doing a slip stitch into the first chain. So she does that by pushing the hook into the first chain, wrapping the yarn over the needle, through the first chain and then through the chain that's on the actual hook to form an actual ring of 9 chains. We shall now carry on to do round 1 of the actual motif, which is done in the same colour. So round 1 we start with 3 chain. Now these 3 chain actually is counted as 1 treble. I'll explain this later, but we're now going to work 23 trebles into the actual ring. So Gwyneth is going to show you how to do a treble. So we wrap the yarn over the hook once into the ring, yarn over again through the ring. You've now got 3 stitches on your hook like so, yarn over through 2 stitches, yarn over again through the last 2 stitches. That's 1 treble complete. You're now going to work another 22 trebles into the same ring. Now that's actually quite a lot to go into that ring, but because you're working into the ring you can move those stitches round the ring so it creates more and more room. Don't work your trebles over each other because it'll form bumps, but actually push the actual trebles around the ring to create more ring, and you will fit all 23 trebles into the ring. Now with the 3 chain that we did right at the start of the round, that's your 24th treble. So when you count them you'll have 24 altogether. So Gwyneth has completed her 23 trebles, and then we're now going to close round 1 by actually doing a slip stitch into the 3rd of 3 chain. But before she does that, she's actually going to join in the second colour. So she's going to break the colour she's using now, join it in the second colour, which is Ancient. We normally join in a colour on the very last stitch of the last round, so she's just going to put a hook into the 3rd of the 3 chain at the beginning of the round, like so, and then she lays the new colour over the hook and pulls it through to form a slip stitch, and then that closes round 1 and joins in the second colour. So we're now ready to do round 2. So we do 1 chain, and the instructions says to do 1 DC into the base of the first chain. So you're literally doing a DC into the very first stitch, really, that is directly below the first chain. So we do a DC, which is yarn, you push the hook into the work, yarn over, and then push it through your first stitch, and then it was yarn over again and put it through to your second stitch. So we're now going to do another DC into the first treble. So to the first treble, if you aim to get the actual V stitch onto the hook, you don't want to, like so that you can actually see the V. You don't want half a V because that'll be splitting the stitch. So it looks like you've got 2 stitches on there, but you're treating it as 1. So it's yarn over through that stitch, you've got 2 stitches on your hook, yarn over again and pull it through the last 2 stitches. That's another DC completed. We're now going to do 7 chain, and then we're going to do a DC into each of the next 2 trebles. So Gwyneth's just going to do that. So this is 1 repeat complete, so you're now going to repeat that another 10 times, so you'll have 11 loops, and then we'll show you how to finish off the actual round. So Gwyneth has completed 11 chain loops, so we're now going to close the round by doing the 12th loop, and to do that we do it slightly differently because we want the hook to be at the top of a loop to start the next round. So to do that we do 3 chain, which is half a loop, and then we're now going to work 1 double treble into the very first DC at the beginning of the round. So a double treble is you wrap the yarn round twice, then go into the DC right at the beginning of the round, wrap the yarn round once, pull it through, yarn, so you've now got 4 stitches on your hook, yarn over through 2 stitches, yarn over, you've got 3 stitches on your hook now, yarn over again through 2 stitches, now got 2 stitches on your hook, yarn over again and through the last 2, so that's 1 double treble, so it's an extra movement to what you've done previously on a treble. So we're now going to start round 3, so that starts with 1 chain and 1 DC into the stitch at the base of the 1 chain, so that's a little bit fiddly, so again 1 DC as before, and then we're going to work 2 DCs into the first large loop, which is literally the loop directly below the stitches you've just worked. So 2 into there, so you're not working into a stitch, you're working into the actual loop, and then you're going to work another 3 DCs into each of the next 2 large loops, like so. Okay, and now we need to do 7 chain. Okay, and now we're going to work 3 DCs into each of the next 3 large loops. So what we're actually doing here is forming the actual square. So we're taking a circle and making it into an actual square. So Gwyneth's going to carry on doing that because you then repeat it all the way around, and then we'll show you how to close the actual round. Right, Gwyneth has completed round 3, so you can see the circle's turned into a square shape now. We're now going to close round 3 by working a slip stitch into the first DC, but we're actually going to change colour as well here, so we need to break the yarn we've just used and then add in the 3rd colour. By doing the slip stitch, which adds the new colour and closes that 3rd round, and then we're ready to start round 4. So Gwyneth is just doing the slip stitch now. So round 4 starts with 5 chain, and we miss the next 4 DCs, so if you count your DCs, and then what you're doing, you're aiming for the centre stitch of the centre loop of the group of 3 loops, like so. So you're now going to work a DC into there, like so. Okay, then we're going to miss another 4 DCs. And then what we're going to do now is build the corner up into the next 7 chain space, and we do this by working 1 DC, 1 half treble. Now a half treble is yarn over the hook into the work, yarn over and through, and then yarn over through all 3 stitches on the hook. Okay, and we're now going to work 2 trebles. So that's yarn over and then the three movements for round. Okay, and we're now going to work 3 double trebles. So that square is getting bigger at the corners now. So the more wraps over the hook you make, the bigger the trebles become. So we're working 3 double trebles, which forms the corner. Then we're going to go back down again now. So we're going to do 2 trebles in a minute when she finishes her last double treble. Okay, so she's now going to work 2 trebles. Okay, 1 half treble. And 1 DC. So that finishes the actual corner. Like so, you see how it's going up, it's increasing up and then decreasing down the other side. So we now repeat that all the way around. So we'll do another 5 chain. Okay, miss 4 DCs, and then I'm going to aim to do a DC into the center stitch of the next group of 3 large loops. 5 chain, and then we're going to work another corner into the next 7 chain space. So we'll let Gwyneth finish that round, and then we'll show you how to close the round and then finish off with the last actual round. So Gwyneth has completed round 4, and we're now going to close the round and also join in the very last colour. So she's going to break her actual yarn she's been using, and she's going to slip stitch into the first chain of the 5 chain right at the beginning of the round. So you push your hook into that very first chain, and then get your new yarn, lay it over your hook, and then complete the slip stitch like so. So that's round 4 complete, and we're now ready to start round 5 with the new colour. So we start that with 1 chain, and we're going to go straight into working into the next 5 chain space, and we're going to work 5 DCs into that space. All the motifs are actually finished off with round 5 all in the same colour, which is the stone. Okay, and we're now going to work 5 chain. This forms a picot loop, which we use for joining the motifs together shortly. We miss the DC in the middle, and then we're going to work another 5 DCs into the next 5 chain space. Right, we're now going to work 1 DC into each of the next 6 stitches. So we're working round the corner. So the first DC goes into the DC that we worked in the first corner. Then we're DC into the half treble. A DC into each of the next 2 trebles. So that's 4 stitches. And then a DC into the next 2 double trebles, so that's 6 stitches altogether. Okay, so we're now going to work 5 chain again to form another large picot loop, and we're now going to work another DC into the same stitch of the last DC just worked. Okay, and then we're going to finish off by doing DCs into each of the next 5 stitches to complete that corner. So we repeat the whole thing again all the way round, which we'll let Gwyneth do. So that's the corner complete, and then we'll show you how to fasten off, and then we'll carry on and show you how to join an actual motif. So Gwyneth has finished the final round and she's ready to fasten off, so she just literally slip stitches into the very first DC and she breaks her yarn and then pulls that end through to secure it so it doesn't unravel, like so. Okay, so what I suggest you do now is actually sew in your ends as you complete each motif, so then you haven't got absolutely loads of ends to sew in right at the end all together. So that's the very first motif. That's one motif completely finished. You will have to do one complete motif before you start doing your next ones. We'll now show you how to actually join the motifs together. Right, so here is the very first motif complete. Just wanted to explain what you've got here. So you've got a basic square motif and you've got 5 chain picots around, one in each corner and one in each centre, and we're going to use these to actually join the next motif to this one, and that's how the whole cowl is built up. So we're going to show you now how to join a motif to the first one, and then from there, therefore then you'll be able to carry on and complete the whole motif. After that, we'll then show you how to do the actual edging. Right, we're now going to show you how to join motifs together. So you get to a position on the motif you're working on, so where you can join one of the corners. So Gwyneth's at an actual corner, so normally we would do 5 chain, but we're now going to do 2 chain and now join it to the next motif. If you find it easier if you keep your motifs flat, push your hook in from the top into the corresponding loop, yarn over and pull it through and form a slip stitch like so. Okay, and then work another 2 chain. So that forms the rest of the loop of the new motif. Then you're going to carry on working 6 stitches into the corner. So you're going to do 1 DC into the same position that you've just worked, and then 5 DCs into each, 1 DC into each of the next 5 stitches. Okay, now you're going to join it now to get the motif together with the into the center loop. So you do 2 chain, right, now we'll do the same as before. Push the hook into from the top, yarn over, two chain, and then 5 DCs into the next 5 chain space, and then you carry on as before, and then finish off with the next corner. And then that really literally is how each motif is joined together, literally on the last row, last round of each motif, like so. So it's a little bit fiddly once you get used to doing it, it's quite satisfying. So all the motifs are joined together in exactly this way.